Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the science of learning effectively. And let's be clear, this isn't about grinding for more hours. It's about learning how to study smarter, using methods that science actually says work. You know that feeling, right? It's got to be one of the most frustrating things ever. You pour in the hours, you've got highlighters everywhere, you've read the chapter 3 times, but then you get to the test and nothing. Your mind is a total blank. If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are not alone. So what's going on? Well, the problem probably isn't you, and it's not your work ethic either. The real culprit here is something called the illusion of knowing. Yeah, it's a super sneaky mental trap that makes you feel like you know the material, even when you really don't. Okay, so let's blow the lid off this whole delusion. We're going to take a hard look at why some of the most common, most popular study habits are, frankly, some of the worst things you can do. Here's the heart of the problem. We spend all this time highlighting and rereading our notes. And you know what? It feels so productive. It makes the text look familiar, comfortable, but that feeling, it's a trick. It fools our brain into thinking we've actually mastered a concept, when all we've really done is gotten good at recognizing it on the page. And that's what we call passive reading. Seriously, it's like going to the gym and just watching someone else lift weights. Sure, you'll get familiar with the movements, you'll recognize the exercises, but are your own muscles getting any stronger? Of course not. And it's the same for your brain. Recognizing is not recalling, not even close. Okay, so that's the bad news. But what if I told you there's a way to actually build that mental muscle, to truly make knowledge stick? Well, let's get into it, because we're about to unlock your brain's most powerful learning tool. This secret weapon is something called active recall. It's the complete opposite of passive reading. Instead of just letting information flow in, you are actively forcing it out of your brain. It's as simple as closing the book and asking yourself, okay, what was that all about? This makes your brain work to rebuild that knowledge from the ground up. And the results? They're not just a little better, they are staggering. Check this out. One major study found that students using active recall remembered, on average, 57% of what they studied. Now, compare that to students using passive methods. They only remembered 29%. That is nearly double the retention. I mean, come on, that's a total game changer. I love this way of thinking about it. Every single time you struggle for a second to remember a fact or a concept, you're doing a rep at the mental gym. You are literally strengthening the neural pathways to that piece of information. That struggle isn't a bad thing. It's the whole point. It's where all the growth happens. And just so you know, this isn't some new age fad. The scientific term for this is the testing effect, and it is one of the most proven, most reliable findings in all of cognitive psychology. You can see it right here. The amount of research on this has just exploded over the years, proving its power over and over again. Okay, so we get it. The science is solid. Active recall is the real deal. But how? How do you actually do it? Let's get super practical and start building out your very own active learning toolkit. First up, we have the Feynman technique, and it's named after a brilliant physicist for a reason. It's genius. Step 1, you take a concept. Step 2, you try to explain it in the simplest terms you can imagine, like you're talking to a little kid. And here's the magic part. The second you get stuck, or you have to use some fancy jargon, bam, you've just found the exact edge of your understanding. That's your signal to go back to the book, fill in that gap, and then simplify your explanation even more. And the Feynman technique is just one tool in the box. You can also try the blurting method. It's exactly what it sounds like. Close your book and just blurt out everything you can remember onto a blank sheet of paper. Or instead of highlighting sentences, turn them into questions you have to answer later from memory. All of these force you to practice that crucial skill of active recall. Now, if you want to go really next level, there's the memory palace. I know, it sounds a little weird, but this is an ancient technique used by memory champions. You basically take a place you know incredibly well, like your house, and you mentally place crazy, vivid images of the things you need to remember along a route, like a giant, ridiculous statue of a historical figure in your living room. Then, to remember the list, you just take a walk through your house in your mind. It works because it taps into your brain's amazing spatial memory. All right, but here's a crucial point. You could have the best techniques in the entire world, but they're not going to do you much good if your brain isn't running on premium fuel. So let's talk about the physical foundation that makes all of this possible. Because the truth is, effective learning isn't just about what you do when you sit down to study. It's a 24/7 thing. It's about how you take care of your body and your mind, your lifestyle. That's the real foundation that all these powerful study skills are built on. Pillar number 1, and honestly the most important, is sleep. That all-nighter you're thinking of pulling before a big exam, you're actually sabotaging yourself. It's during deep sleep that your brain goes to work, sorting through what you've learned and transferring it into long-term memory. So, for most students, that means 8 to 10 hours. Non-negotiable. Next up, diet. Your brain is a super energy-hungry organ, and it needs good, steady fuel. Sugary junk food gives you a quick spike and then a nasty crash, which is just awful for concentration. What you want are slow-release carbs like oatmeal, protein to keep you focused, and water. So much water. Seriously, even being a little dehydrated can totally destroy your focus. And finally, pillar 3, exercise. I know it feels like you should cut back on moving around to cram in more study time, but that is a terrible trade. Getting your body moving pumps more blood and oxygen to your brain, which directly improves your memory. Plus, it's one of the best stress busters on the planet. A quick walk can honestly do more for you than another 20 minutes of staring at a textbook. So, we have the techniques, we have the foundation. Now, how do we actually put this all together and make it a real habit? Let's lay out a blueprint for making that switch to smarter studying. The absolute key here is to not try and change everything all at once. You'll just burn out. Start small. For the first couple of weeks, just add a quick 10-minute active recall session to the end of your study time. Then you can start to replace your old passive habits. This here is a great way to think about it. It's a gradual, sustainable change that will actually stick. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important takeaway of all. If your studying feels easy, if it feels comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong. That feeling of struggle, that little bit of mental strain, that's not a sign you're failing. That is the feeling of your brain getting stronger. So the real question I want to leave you with is this: are you ready to embrace that challenge?